Happy Thursday, everybody. This is Varied Views, and I'm Tele Alice Ledwab. Today, we're going a little bit political. I'm having a conversation with Lerato Mpefu, a ward councillor in the Midrand area. She's going to be taking us through her career journey in the political space. So please check out our video till the end. And if you haven't already, please subscribe, the bell, and share our video.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Okay, Lerato Mpefu, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
Welcome. How is your week like?
My week socially or work-wise?
What stands out for you?
Oh, what stands out? Well, to be quite honest with you, the week went by too quick. I think the previous week as well went by quick as well. It's been a lot. That on Wednesday we had a by-election in Ward 9. I was based in Indonesia. It takes its toll on us, normally as ward councillors, because we expected to put in some hours. And normally, and a lot of times, or maybe all the times that I've worked in a by-election, I've worked a 15-hour shift. So I'd start work at 6 in the morning and then finish off at 9 in the morning, or maybe, 9 p.m. Or I'd be leaving around 9:30, because from 9, if I'm based at a voting station, we need to start picking up our gazebos and all that. So I'd be leaving home maybe at 5:30, or maybe even 4:30, depending on the distance that I have to travel to go to where the by-election is. So we had that on Wednesday. And on Friday, I had an extraordinary meeting for my Section 79 committee meeting. And that was also unnecessary because I think about a week ago, we were supposed to have had a Section 79 committee meeting on a Monday, and we didn't correct because some of the other councillors, from other political parties, no need for names at the stage. It's not about them anyway. We're not here for them. We're not here to name and shame or to talk bad about other parties. Yeah. So that meeting, because it did not correct, we had to now have an extraordinary meeting on Friday. And I call it extraordinary because as councillors, we normally have a council calendar, like a year calendar, which helps you actually plan your life. You know when we're having council sittings, when we're having Section 79 committee meetings, and we would have our council forum, our ward committee meeting, and all other meetings. But when you have a council calendar for the whole year, it helps you manage your diary, because say for instance, maybe you wanted me to come here during the week. I would have to look at my diary. And then if I know that on this day I have council, then I know this day is out. But then sometimes we have extraordinary meetings which are not on the council calendar. And this particular Section 79 meeting was extraordinary because we did not correct, and then we felt, if we leave it up until the next month for another set meeting, we're falling more and more in a backlog, So let's try and have another day, and hopefully the other councillors come through and so that are like add-ons. Those are not normal things that happen in a week. Yeah, because by-elections, you would have by-elections if there's a vacancy in the ward. It's not something that you just generally have, because remember, our term is 5 years. But if anything happens in any of those wards, like someone gets fired or someone leaves the job or they die, touch wood, then there would be a vacancy, and then there is a by-election, because it's not happening throughout the city with all other wards. It's just only those wards that have a vacancy. So do you understand? This is something that you can't really plan for.
What does a by-election entail? Like, what really happens there?
When you, like I just said, it's a 5-year term being a councillor. And then when you go to any local government elections, you get like normally 2 ballot papers. where you choose the ward councillor, like myself, you know. I'm not a political appointee, you know. Yes, my party chose me as a candidate for the ward. And then after they choose me as a candidate, the residents of the ward needs to give me majority votes in order for me to stand. But then the other ballot paper, you find it's just the logo and the name of the political party. And that's where you get your PRs from. Ne? Let's not complicate this. You were talking by-election. So let's just stick on the ward councillor.
Yeah.
So because I mentioned PR, for PR, any party can just replace at any given time from their own list, you know, when a PR councillor leaves. But when a ward councillor leaves, a party can't just place a Palesa, a Mosa, you know, a David in Lerato's ward. There has to be an election in that ward. And we call it a by-election because it's not set in that, like,
Political party, whatever.
No. Like, remember, it's a 5-year term. The last elections we had was 2021. The next election we'll have is 2026 for local government. But then in between, if anything happens to a ward councillor, there has to be an election in that ward. So it's by-election because it's not happening throughout the whole municipality. Oh. It's just that ward that has a vacancy. That's a by-election. So it has to be announced. IEC will invite whichever political party is interested in contesting the election, and all those parties will have their candidates, and the people of that ward only will come out and vote, and whoever gets the majority votes, then you'll have a new ward councillor.
Oh, okay. That's interesting. I want to backtrack a little bit here.
Yeah.
Ne? I want us to go through your career journey because, you know, you were one of the youngest
Do we have time?
and I really am interested to understand how you actually got into politics to start off with. But I can only imagine you didn't just wake up and be like, okay, I'm going to start in politics. I'm really curious to know your career journey.
Yeah, I'm going to try and keep it short because I think we need days for this one actually to unpack
like
this.
concisely.
Yeah. And hopefully I managed to mention maybe all the strong points or valid points, you know, something that will give people out there an idea.
Okay.
I started back at home in Garankuwa. As a youngster then, I joined the political party then, which was the only active political party in my township, you know, in Tshwane. And the reason I joined that political party was because they were the ruling party as well, the decision makers. I think my late mentor actually once said, you know, it's better to have someone from the inside of the fence and pissing out than someone outside and pissing in, you know, whatever that means. And maybe the language is not okay, but I hope it's not too bad,
No, it's okay.
you know, for this. So for me, I've always been of the view as well that if you want to effect any change, you need to be from the inside rather than the outside, you know. I see myself as a game changer. I see myself as a big role player. I see myself as a decision maker or someone that contributes to the decisions that are made in government than someone that's just sitting back and just complaining and pointing fingers and at other people. Do you understand? I always say to people, policies, you know, your bylaws and all those things, they are not cast in stone. So we in a perfect position to actually introduce new things or amend
So you,
what
when
is
you
already
started,
there, you know?
You started with politics, or did you start maybe?
I was an activist.
You've always been an activist.
I think I saw the role that government was playing in our society. And I had an interest in that. And I decided to just be an activist. Like, it was never a dream of mine to become a public rep. It was something only later on that some people saw something in me and they were starting to encourage me and just, you know, tell me that you could actually make a good councillor. You could make a good public rep, you know. But for me, it was just activism because I'm an activist at heart. I don't know how to play politics. I'm not going to lie. Like, I'm a baby in politics. I've been saying I'm a baby in politics. And
For
it's
years
unfortunate
now.
because this baby is not growing. But yeah, I'm an activist at heart. Mine is activism, you know. making a difference in other people's lives, bridging the gap between government and the people,
Yeah.
So when I started as an activist in my township, with a political party that was there and active, but it was never a political party of my choice, but
It was just the active.
it was
political
like an
party.
organ, that was making these decisions. And I couldn't really have any effect from outside. I needed to be inside and actually look at this properly, have a proper view, and see what contributions I personally could make,
Okay. But
Yeah.
what motivated you? Like, what is it about? Like, I mean, if you're talking about being an activist, like, I don't know, we don't always just wake up and we decide, I'm going to be an activist for something. Like, what drew you? What attracted you to the whole concept of being an activist?
I could say maybe it's how I was brought up, My mom and my dad, I come from a home where my mom and dad were business owners, and they used to also help out a lot of the children in the community, they did a lot, And I also come from that era where a child is a child of the community.
Yeah,
And things
100%.
worked for us back in the days. Do you understand? Yeah.
Where your neighbor could discipline
Yeah. You see now when you're talking discipline, I'm going to give you a typical example. Back in the days, if, let's say maybe you wanted to drink alcohol as a teenager or maybe you wanted to smoke, you dare not do it in public where other elderly people can see you because auntie next door is your mother and she could discipline you. Uncle next door is your mother, is your dad, and then he could discipline you. And for me, unfortunately, before this corporal punishment, why did you hit my child?
Yeah,
Wah,
yeah,
wah,
yeah,
wah,
yeah.
Now,
your business.
now I would pray so hard and I would just beg you not to tell my parents that you gave me a hiding. Because if I went home and I told my parents that uncle gave me a hiding,
Like,
Mama would want to know why.
And then you're going to
I
get
would
another.
get another hiding. Do you understand?
Yeah.
So that's how things were managed back in the days. And then I grew up from, that era where a child is a child of the community. And then whatever that you get to do really, it wasn't really just for your own benefit, but for the benefit of the whole majority. And you got to understand how it works for everybody. Do you understand? Like looking at the holistic picture. And I think that's how I also got into politics as well. Do you understand? As an activist. And you might laugh on this, and I don't really care if I get criticized on this, but this is my truth. Back then, as a young person, I just saw South Africa going the route of Zimbabwe.
Oh my God, okay.
Askisi for that example.
How did you get there?
How I
what
got
were
there
the things
was
that worried you?
just as a child at the time that was not involved in politics, that did not really understand politics. When I was just looking at things, and then I was maybe watching the news and seeing the things that were happening, maybe in Zim and all that, I kind of saw these things somehow later on happening in South Africa.
Okay.
And I'd be damned.
Please.
I'd be damned those things happening
Elaborate.
without me trying to,
You're being part of it, but elaborate a little bit here.
I will give you an example that maybe might help you.
Yeah.
In 2010, I visited Zim for the first time with a friend who was half Zimbabwean, half South African. The dad was South African, mom was from Zim. So we took a trip with my friend, and we were in Zim for 2 weeks. And we visited a number of areas. And you know how media sometimes does not give you the whole truth about things. Do you understand? We talked about the bars, and we'll get into the
we'll
bars.
get into the
Do you understand?
bars.
Yeah. How people choose sometimes not to be critical thinkers. They just take what is given to them. They make it their truth. Tomorrow they're talking as though, you know what, they're telling you facts. They were actually there is the real story. But they did not do any research. They did not even check the source, where is it coming from, is this truthful, but it's exciting, it's a buzz, they go with it. Ne? So when I got to Zimbabwe, and the reason I'm saying that is because there was a bad picture that was really painted about Zim. But when I got to Zim for the first time in 2010, I actually saw it in a different light. I saw Zim as just another country like South Africa was.
Yeah.
And I think the reason I did was because I had visited Yolani suburbs, back then in the days, I think the place was like Gun Hill. I had visited like your areas where there's like plots and all that. Tuku, remember the musician used to stay there? There was a Tuku house there. Something Fern, I forgot the name of the suburb that we were staying at. I visited Harare as well. There's some townships that I visited as well. So I came back and I was like, no, but this is like our place.
Yeah.
You have rich people, you
You've
have
got
poor people, you have different areas. But what really caught my attention was being in Harare, and almost every second day, or maybe every day, they were losing their electricity. They had load shedding back then. You understand? They lose their electricity. Every second house had a generator. And I sat there and I was like, I don't think a lot of South Africans, townships and all that, they can actually afford to have generators. What will happen if this comes to us? But already remember, I was already in the youth league of a political party. I had already showed an interest and I was an activist, do you understand? And I think being there kind of like reinforced, and kind of like gave me that reassurance of, you're in the right place and your thinking was kind of right, do you understand? Because how they got there, it wasn't overnight.
It progressed.
Gradually.
Yeah.
So when it happened to South Africa, when we started having load shedding, I was like, no, actually I was depressed. I was depressed because I felt like, you know what, all these years, did I waste my time? You understand? I knew, I saw, and I kind of like could see this happening to South Africa if we don't do things right. If we don't improve on our infrastructure, like do the maintenance and all those things, I mean, I come from a ward where, it's so developed, and the infrastructure, it's not at a level of the developments. I mean, you have now many people staying in an area, and you have a certain power station that could only power certain individuals, and now it can't extend to more. Like, you need to do something about that.
Yeah.
You need to have a plan, for the city. You understand? To make sure that you can still supply people with your clean water, your basic services, your water, your electricity and all that. But you know what? Talking load shedding is not actually anything to do with those developments. I think that actually makes it even worse. It makes it even more difficult. Do you understand? But yeah. So yeah.
Did you so that's interesting. So you say, okay, you were an activist, you're part of the youth league for a particular political party. And based on what you're saying, I'm understanding that you then you changed parties. What was your reason for changing?
My reason for changing was I'm very opinionated. And I did mention that, I'm coming from an era where when you're a child of the community. So when I'm in a certain political party, I'm in a certain branch, I expect those people to behave like they're my family members. You understand? So if I get to be abused by you in the same branch, someone that I identify as a brother or a sister, what's going to happen to me when someone who's from outside comes now and wants to abuse me? You're not going to protect me.
Yeah.
You understand?
You mean you mean verbally?
It started from being verbal. I remember being in meetings where I would raise my hand and then I would not be recognized because already they knew that, you know what she's going to say, it's not going to go well maybe with what
we are trying to achieve.
Yes, what we're trying to achieve. Then when I joined politics, for me, I think my main role, what I saw it as, was someone who would go out there and educate and conscientize the people. And then I stood for the truth. I highlighted that, And I think maybe I disturbed other people who were like, it's our time to eat. And they were not seeing things from a holistic background like I was. Like, you know what, it's about us. And someone is like, it's about me. And then they would go there and try and deceive, people in the meeting just to get their way.
Yeah.
Instead of do things that are benefiting people as a whole. So me having that kind of character, being challenging, being opinionated, standing for what is right, which wasn't always, what the others wanted and liked, exposed me to verbal abuse. There was a time when I used to get threatening messages on my
God.
phone. One message in particular, I remember I got a message that said that I was going to sustain head injuries that will never heal.
Yo.
I showed it to my mom, and my mom was like, "No, you take this to the police station." And I was like, "No, Mom, these are my family,
Oh my
We'll sort it
goodness.
out in the house. I can't report my people."
Can you say
know?
that politics is dangerous?
I don't know. You're putting me in a tight spot now. I would say yes and no. I'm in an organization, just like there's many other organizations out there, and there's no, I don't know, like, show me a perfect organization.
Yeah.
I'm not talking about my organization right now. I'm just saying in general.
Yeah.
I mean, you even go into churches. How many wrongful things have been exposed about churches?
Yeah.
Which is supposed to be a safer space. So if you can get that in churches, what more in politics?
Yeah,
Where
I think,
it's
and
expected.
Yeah,
Do you understand?
I'm asking
Yeah.
because there's a lot of organizations, but look, you might not be in that space now, but I don't think we wake up in the morning and get threatening messages in our corporate spaces.
Girl, you like me. You lucky you've never gotten it.
Yeah.
When you like taking food out of someone's mouth, but it's not intentional. At the time, it's not what I thought I was doing. You understand? I'm looking at a holistic picture. You and I start a business right now and we don't share the same objectives.
Yeah.
Where do you think, or how far do you think that will go? Do you understand?
Yeah.
I want us to put as much profit as we're getting into growing and expanding the business.
Yeah.
You get excited. You want to buy a Mac. You want to buy a Ferrari. You want to buy a. Do you understand?
Yeah.
It's not going to work. And I think that's where the clash came in. Do you understand?
Yeah.
And because I was always adamant, I always stood my ground and I was brave in doing what I was doing, always opinionated, I got such threats. But it was only up until I was physically attacked that I decided. Mare Gele, you've seen you've seen it in Parliament.
Yeah.
You've seen it in also council. I think on my Facebook page, I have also a video where it got physical in council. Do you understand? When those things happened, now coming from a youthful age with a certain political party, I had already started seeing those things.
So
And I was
I
calling off those things. And I was warning people about those things. You my family at the time, who guys, this is how we must behave. This is, but can I go who you like drop in an ocean?
Yeah, but
And
are there no
that's what made me
policies
leave.
So okay, which is a fair point. I definitely would leave. But I guess my following question would be like, like in corporate.
I saw myself dying and not having a memorial like a tombstone like you had Peterson's, ne? And I was like, I'm gonna die for nothing here. what I came to do here, I can't be fighting this on my own. I mean,
Yeah.
you know how tiny I am.
You're not even gonna
And then I was even younger in age.
Yeah.
And I'm not from a family that has a political background where I could say, do you know who I am?
Yeah.
My dad is, my mom is, and then I get that respect in jail, just
Yeah.
because my parents went to
Yeah.
exile. And so you could say I'm my first generation, like in my family, that actually started,
went into
and
politics.
currently maybe even the only one.
Sure.
Do you understand?
No, listen bit.
No, Mara, do you understand?
I
People
hear
have a history of, I'm an exiled child. Before I'm an exiled child, maybe my dad or my mom is an exiled child.
Yeah.
So there's a
always
history, yeah.
behind
And
you
some
getting
people
into
feel
it.
like you are being disrespectful. When are you just gonna come with your views now and
Yeah.
Nah,
just like-
I
yeah,
have that.
yeah.
I didn't have that. So I was like, okay, verbal abuse, I'm not being heard in meetings. They don't take my hand anymore. Actually, they're sidelining me. I could see the sidelining. Even when we had public meetings and there's an MMC of something that came through and you go see them going into a hall and they're pointing at you and you're like, And you were a young girl at the time. They're pointing at you, they're laughing. And you're wondering,
What? the
even
heck
when
are
you're
you
looking at them,
laughing
they don't turn back. You know, when you're gossiping about someone, you're like, when they look at you, you're like,
Yeah.
But these ones were like, and they laugh at, they laugh in your face. It's like, what is this?
And you're like,
You
okay,
know?
this is no longer
Yeah,
my
so
home.
after I got, hit,
Oh,
I was
rapide,
like,
girl.
girl, let's not
no,
even get into the details of
I'm
that.
not trying to find
We
out.
went to the police station, we opened the case, and that was the first and last I ever heard and stepped into it, into the police station and spoke about that case. It wasn't only me. It was a group of us because they were not only hitting me alone, but me and they call it a core. Do you understand? Trying to do the right thing. Yeah. And I don't know if someone bought the docket or whatever, and I decided, you know what? Maybe this is not for me. And then I left and I was without a political home for like 2-3 years. So I didn't even jump. But the activist in me and that awoken political animal in me was like, you know what? I need a home. I need a home. And the way I am now was reading, teaching myself about it and seeing that actually their values and their principles resonated with mine. So it was more a party of my choice than the previous one where I was like, I want to make a difference. How do I? These are the only ones that I'm seeing on the street. These are the only ones that are active. These are the only ones, these are the ones that are in power, where I can maybe have a voice and effect that change. But it didn't work for me then.
And then you're like,
I
okay,
find
and
myself,
so
yeah.
you literally made your research to say, okay, the current political party that I'm going to join is what
Kgokgola,
works
ke-
and- yeah,
Kgokgola,
yeah.
you try and do, things better in your next step, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, it does. So what
Yeah.
are some of those values?
Yeah. Now we're not here to talk about any a political party, but now when I'm going to share these things now, I think it's going to just put it out there for people. But anyway, I'm just gonna mention like 4 words that we normally mention.
No, I
a
mean
lot.
that aligns
yeah.
to you.
I'm gonna
personally.
mention 4 words that actually really attracted me. Remember, I said I'm a child wa community, ne? So when you talk about fairness, you're talking to me. When you're talking about freedom, you are talking to me. When you're talking about diversity, you are talking to me. When you're talking about opportunity, you are talking to me. And I remember seeing a video talking about all these things together. And a vision was like a picture was painted. And they're saying, imagine you're a child from the township.
Yeah.
Do you understand?
Yeah.
You have that basic education. You have access to healthcare. You have access to what are we talking about? We're talking about you being able to go to school, you being able to go to a clinic, and getting medical attention when you need it, and you not being defined by where you're coming from. That a child. O le setla, o le so, o sa apara ditlhako, o shiana mo strateng sele se se ranang sureji. You can become a lawyer tomorrow. You can become a doctor tomorrow. You can be a public representative tomorrow. You can be one that amends these policies and are bettering the community that you're coming from. Do you understand? That spoke to me.
So I just wanna delve into the diversity part of things, right? So you from one political party, you jumped into one, and part of what
I didn't jump.
Like
I was
the
without
3
a
years,
political home for a
3
long
years.
time.
Yes,
And
yes,
where
yes.
I am, I chose. The previous, I was kind of.
It was given to you.
Yeah.
Mara o compare from diversity.
It was the
from
only
diverse-
available avenue for me at the time.
100% I take that. But when we're talking about diversity, right? What does diversity mean to you?
I don't want to be defined by the color of my skin. Do you understand? I don't want to be excluded from holding a certain position in a company. And that exclusion is based on my gender or the color of my skin. So when we talk diversity, and also highlight, I think maybe what I just mentioned to you now, that the background that you're coming from, not defining, who you're going to be in future. Do you understand? That for me is government playing their role as government, doing the minimum that they need to do. Do you understand? To make sure that whether or black or Indian or white or whatever, you must not be getting a certain position because of the color of your skin, but because of, it must be on merit.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Do you understand?
Yeah.
It must be on merit. But government also being there to also bridge certain gaps, because we know, that other people are coming from areas where they're more disadvantaged. And then if you just open it, and expect everyone to compete on an equal footing, high equal, girl.
Yeah.
High equal. You understand? High equal. So there are others that need the assistance here, government development, for us to realize that equalization.
Yeah. And are you? Do you think that currently, Vele, everything is run
This girl
on
wants
merit?
me to get, you want to get me fired?
No.
No, I don't see it.
You don't.
Government is not doing enough. We need to do more as government. No, girl, government is not doing enough. We need to do more as government. Remember, my role as well is oversight.
Yeah.
And if I told you some of the things that I see on the ground, I want to cry. Yeah. It is so sad. I want to cry. I made a speech the other time in council, and my speech touched on the women hostel, Helen Joseph Women Hostel in Alexander. I sit on commissions, on Section 79 committee, a petitions committee.
This is now the fourth time you say Section 79, and you're gonna have to explain to us.
Not in
what-
here. It's just
Okay.
you and I have a lot of conversations that are,
true,
true.
true.
Yeah,
Yeah, true.
So, okay. So I sit on Section 79 committee petitions. We do oversight. And I remember a petition came through in our committee meeting, and they wanted to close that petition. And things did not look right in paper. And I requested, Chair, can we please just go do oversight and see for ourselves? Because when we're in a meeting, we rely on the officials, do you understand, to give us a report. Okay, we did go to this place and this is the work that we've done and the people are happy. The lead petitioner even signed off and the councillor signed off and that thing is fixed. Can we close the petition? But things did not look right. I think also the closure form was not okay as well. It was missing some signatures and I requested, guys, please can we have oversight on this? When we went to Helen Joseph Women Hostel, the report that was given to us in council, and what we saw actually, total difference. Total difference. Have you seen feces, Kamo? You staying in a block, yeah, the flats, ne? Windows the broken at a kitchen, something that's supposed to be a kitchen or maybe a laundry area that is not being used because the taps they're missing. Windows are broken, ceilings are missing. You go to the toilet, the minute urung wa kena ka mogare, o bona maids. How to lapel, o bona feces on the floor there. The stench. Before you even see that, when you see it, you understand why. Do you understand? And there are people who are living there. There might be someone on that same floor, someone ope room ya gag e lebaneng le room ya mo toileteng. These people cook there, they eat there, they sleep there. If there are kids that are studying there, they study there. But the most painful thing of it is that now at this particular one, no 17 million that was in question. 17 million e patetswe di private contractors. But when we get on site, we don't see the work. Do you see the pain of it?
Yeah.
I can understand when you're saying we don't have money, arna budget. But when you release budget and you go and see the work that's done by that budget, how we boni?
Then you've got
Go tlisa
questions,
botlhoko.
yeah.
It's very painful.
Sure.
It's very painful. So this is where I'm saying what government
not
is not
doing
doing
enough.
enough. What are we saying ka those people baba dulang ko?
Yeah, especially
Do you understand?
like I mean, if we're gonna talk about like I'm gonna speak like go Alex man, like you're a council, maybe utarifa some insights, ne?
I'm not a councillor, yeah, Alexa, by the
No,
way.
no,
ne?
no, no, no. I'm
Okay.
not saying just in general, right?
Yeah.
In terms of what people should be
Yeah.
expecting. You know when I did those toilets that are sitting in the road, right? Like don't laugh because you walk there.
I don't mean to. Those
but
things
you
make
see-
me cry, and when I'm in that area, I
But you know
myself
the ones
will
that
not
I'm
be using
talking-
the toilet.
Yeah, you know,
and then
and
I
then there's-
expect the people who are staying there to be using the toilet. What does that
Yes.
say?
Yeah.
Go
So,
to
so who
Sabathoko.
is responsible in terms of hierarchy?
Those are normally, other than maybe in the city. I get the issue in Helen Joseph women hostel. Nearly issue ya human settlements. Ne? And so it will depend on an area. Hence, I declared that I get councillor ya Alex.
Yeah.
So I can't know how everything happens to Alex because I don't do oversight there. Ne? I don't have those toilets in my ward.
Yeah. Yeah.
Ne? But then I've been in meetings where I know Joburg Water had been questioned. Let's talk Ivory. Ne? I'm not a councillor at Ivory, but because I sit in meetings with the councillors at Ivory, when they're asking questions to Joburg Water, okay, maybe ki issue a contractor. So every time you can somebody that will apply like tender, yeah, contracting to be maintaining the toilet itself. So someone has to be going there and cleaning the toilet, putting in the chemical and all that. They get paid for it.
And that is not happening.
You
And then I
understand?
think then
And sometimes, yes, it's not happening, and that's why you find in those meetings the councillors baba vocally, frustrated, asking questions to Joburg Water and all that. And then sometimes those issues get to be fixed, but I can't really talk too much on that because I personally don't have
you
those
don't
toilets.
have those problems.
Yeah.
But
I
okay,
don't have
but-
those toilets.
but
I don't
with
work
that
with those
in mind,
contracts.
ne,
Yeah.
Laratone, with that in mind, ne?
Those are people who was nang toilet ya tshwana le ya ka le ya gago.
Yeah. But with
And
that,
they need-
but
it's
with
a-
that
it's a
in
basic
mind,
service,
let's
yeah.
tap into the issue of voting. And we know that come voting times, one of the things that most political parties will always speak to is that people just don't vote. Why do you think people don't vote, in your opinion?
You know, that's a question that should be asked to people who don't vote. Like, honestly, because
Yeah.
now I need to speak for other
On
people.
behalf of,
Yeah.
But I'm just
But
saying
I would
with
say,
that in mind, just what
generally,
you've
ne,
spoken about
what maybe
now.
I hear from
Yeah,
other people.
Yeah.
What's the point? You're all the same. You don't do anything for us. People are losing hope. So if I can choose when I have a better life than you that lives in an environment like that, you can also choose to be an activist as well. Go in and try and effect some change. Do you understand? You sitting back and saying, I'm not going to vote, it's not going to make any difference. How is that going to help you? And let's be honest. There's a lot of people who don't vote out there, but once we are placed in our own respective wards, when they start having a problem, they don't say, I didn't vote, I'm not going to call Councillor Lerato. They call Councillor Lerato, and they are generally, they are the ones that make the most noise. Is it fair? Is it fair? And at that time, you find it's someone that now, what can I say? Like they can see, oh, okay, so this person works. When I call this person, they actually do resolve issue. I don't think you will call me if you don't think, I can't help you with anything. Why waste your time and your airtime?
Energy, yeah.
Do you understand?
Yeah.
Yeah. You call me and you see, oh, okay, so these things work. When I escalate it to my councillor, it does work, and maybe it works even faster. Then come voting time, why don't you vote for that person that you're calling?
Yeah.
That person that helps escalate your issues and that is helping you, you know, get things resolved quicker.
I want to be honest. I don't even know what a councillor It does, but I think up until it's only recently, like after, like we actually delved deep into what you actually do. So if there's a problem that's happening around in my space, I honestly don't think a counselor is the first person I would call. I don't, because I don't even know, you know what I mean? I don't understand, you know what I mean? And when there's a problem, I generally think I'm not the only one going through that problem. And when it's fixed, I don't know how it came about. That problem is just fixed. If it's not fixed, I complain about it, but I also don't call anyone to fix it. You know what I mean? And I think we are the ones that are becoming the biggest critics, because we will be like, you know, things are never working.
And you're not doing your bit.
Yeah.
And you still want to blame a counselor. Typical example. You're staying on a short street that has a cul-de-sac. Ne? No one goes on that street unless they're going to one of the houses on that street. Do you understand? I see a main road connect me to another area. If I don't stay on that road and I'm not visiting anyone on that road, how will I know that your street light is not working? If you don't call, say in my area, City Power, to report that street light that is not working, how do you think it's going to work? Like, honestly, you're not doing your bit. You're not doing your bit. And I think that's where the disconnect is, that people need to wake up and start realizing that each and every one of us has a role to play.
Yeah.
I'm not saying be an activist, be a hobo like Lerato, choose it as a career. But the bare minimum that you can do is at least cast your vote. And
But,
do it wisely. Sky, it's like a buzz.
Yeah. So, and I want to get into that. Before we get into this buzz situation, I just want to touch on this a little bit, right? So, when a person, vote, what steps do you think a person should go through when deciding which political party they should vote for? In terms of a decision they should make, like what are the things that you would maybe give advice to say, these are the things that you need to look at?
You can start in the ward that you stay in. Do you understand? Are things working in your ward?
Yeah.
Go, le na le di-TV, le bona di-news, so you've got smartphones, you see things on Twitter. I think every organization has a website where you can go and read about them. Do you understand? See what their own values and principles are. You know, you watch, you hear what the person is saying, and then check if that person actually does have any follow-up. It's not just what you say. Well, understand? You're not gonna, not personally, you're not gonna say the same thing over and over and over and over again. Maybe a budget speech. You talk about this budget speech. You don't, those things are not realized. The next budget speech, you talk about the same things. Those things are not realized. The next budget speech, talk about, those things are not realized. But you still want to vote for the same person over and over and over again, but you want a different outcome. How does that work?
Yeah.
Do you understand?
Yeah.
How does that work? Then maybe it's time for you to change that person, give someone else a chance.
A chance, yeah.
And if they also don't work, change them.
So I think
Do you understand?
loyalty, Mone.
Ratify like it. This is something that you and I have spoken about a lot. Do
Yeah,
you understand?
yeah.
Gore nna, I will not just sit back and say, oh, gwa tshwana. What did I do?
Yeah.
What did I do?
Yeah.
Do you understand? Pointing a finger, how many fingers are pointing at you?
Three are looking right
I
back at you, yeah.
Uto jaja Lerato, wa jaja Spanebane, wa jaja Spanebane. At least they're doing something. Whether they're doing it right or wrong, they're doing something. What are you doing?
Yeah.
What are you doing? And ask you for the finger.
No, it's okay. It's okay. I take no
What
offense.
are
to that.
you
Actually,
doing?
I actually do that a lot, right? But I'm not trying to say you. I
No,
got
but
feedback
you
from
and
it.
I
Yeah,
have,
we
you
have
know,
we
that
get
understanding,
it. Yeah,
yeah.
we get it. So, Mara, what is it that the government is doing right? Let's tap into this. There must be something they're doing right. Like, what in your books, when you look at it, like, what is it that? Because we just know about this corruption. There's, you know, that's what the media is painting.
Buzz.
The buzzwords. We know what we are fed.
Yeah.
What are some of the things that you feel like they are good, they're just not even spoken about?
Not come to my ward and see how many traffic lights are working as opposed to the ones that are not working. Come to my wards and count the potholes. Come to my ward and see if people have water right now or they have electricity. Things are not perfect. Yes, we have our challenges. But like I've got WhatsApp groups where, I try and feed information to the residents. And I've always said, and I think also another disconnect is that people expect politicians, councillors to do everything. What they don't know or what they forget or choose not to look at. Lerato a ka se fixe di street lights. Ke mmereko wa City Power. Lerato ha patch di pothole. Ke mmereko wa JRA. Lerato does not as a plumber. Do you understand? Ke mmereko wa Joburg Water. Wena as an individual, someone that should be voting, ne? For the better party or better devil, as other people put it, ne? Should log your own calls with the relevant entities, departments. And then when they're not doing their work, you come to me with a reference number. It's my work to escalate. Do you understand? So someone in my ward that would say to you, Khore, it's working, would be someone that says, she's very responsive. She gives us proactive information. When she has it, I can't give you what I don't have. Sometimes it defaults and defaults, they're not planned. Planned maintenances, it's planned and it should be communicated in advance. I have fought tooth and nail. I remember there was a time when City Power bakatile of electricity and ke ba kopile hore no guys, you need to connect these people, you need to arrange this again for another day and give them a notice. And that's me actually humbly asking them, because I also can't give them instructions. That's what people also don't realize. We can't really give these people instructions. I'm recognized as a part-time worker. All councillors are part-time workers. Besides chairpersons of Section 79 committees or the mayor or the mayoral committee, the MMC. Do you understand? So guys, this is unfair. What do you expect to happen now? Some people are working from home. There are kids who are writing exams.
100%, yeah.
You understand? And understand. And we do have good officials out there. Not everyone bribes. Not everyone is corrupt. But unfortunately, all of us get to be painted with the same brush. And it's painful when you're trying to do the right thing. Do you understand? And then they put the lights back on and then they gave them a notice. So when you have a councillor like me and you in my groups and create that notice, November 1, you're not going to have electricity. There's a plant maintenance in your ward from 9 a.m. until 5 p.m. It gives you an opportunity to plan life. You're not going to be doing ironing that day, are you?
Yeah. No.
If you're working from home, all your gadgets better be charged. Do you understand? So are you saying that is not working? You have access to information.
Yeah.
And then when you have a
But
problem...
you utilize the information.
They do. And they appreciate it. I do get appreciation messages as much as I get hateful messages as well, because not everyone is going to like you.
True.
Some people, they don't like you just in J.
Yeah.
J.
J. They don't like your name.
Not because you did something wrong.
Yeah.
But they're not willing to do what it takes, the work to get it. Do you understand? Yeah. So I live in a ward that works. I'm not saying it's perfect. We have our challenges, but I think we're improving. We're improving. And a lot of times people, when things are working, it's only when things are not working when they want to know who is the councillor.
Yeah.
But when things are working, no one
Nobody
asks who's the councillor, who's behind the things that are working. I don't know if I answered your question.
No,
that's
definitely.
just a typical example.
No,
of
that
it.
definitely does answer the question,
Yeah.
because you're saying when things are going good, nobody's paying close attention to the good work. But the minute something wrong happens, it's almost like no good has ever been done.
Go to Twitter, girl, and tell me what is trending. Is it good news or bad news?
I'm willing to bet it's probably gonna be
Good
bad
news don't trend.
Yeah, that's true. That's
good
true.
news don't trend.
And then and I guess also the issue of the media. I think we look at what the media generally tells us. So if they say there's corruption. We're not saying there's no corruption.
No, thank you for the. When are you going to learn to be a critical thinker? When are you going to learn to be a critical
But we don't
thinker?
have the insights, Lerato. We don't know what's going on in the inside, hey?
I've had messages shared with me. This is what's happening. Share on the groups. I don't just spread. How many people do you know of bapika something is negative and they just share without actually thinking about it? Like this does not make sense. There might be another side to this story. Or who is the source here? What are they trying to achieve with us? Do you understand?
Lerato, I want to touch back. Sorry, I just had a thought, ne? And I'm not taking away. I'm totally with you here, ne? It just came to my mind, like, your space, the political space and the dominancy of it, right? And it being your career, right? I can only imagine, like, how challenging navigating certain things should be for you.
Can I tell you, for me to be a ward councillor, with the party of my choice now, you have to submit your application. Bona khona le ticking boxes tse ngata. Ne? They tell you what tick boxes you need to tick. It might be, are you able to raise money? You know, because I mean, all political parties, we are not profit-making companies. I get. You can see us as NPOs. You know, we're not generating income. We depend a lot on donors. So when can you raise funds? Because the party depends on it. That would be a point. Your level of activism. If you are already in the job, how happy are the people that you are how happy are the people by Lungoro Abaseva are with you? Do you understand? So there's a lot of tick boxes that are made. You go for your interview, you load first your CV. You go for the interview. There will probably be maybe some people who are academically stronger than you. Some who might be maybe stronger than you in terms of like activism, the work that they can show. Nna ke entse so many ke apere t-shirt ha kana ka ema ko robotong ha kana ka tlisa di-petition tse kana, you know, ka introduce so many people into the party, and there's a lot, you know, that is actually looked into. Or you go interviewing, you know, and then how are you able to learn and sell yourself and all that. So after having going through that whole process, ne, maybe there are 5 people applying for my job in the next term now. And then out of 5, one transaketi. I'll see it as a first interview. And then you must go on the streets and convince the residents of your ward why they must vote for you as a person and vote for your political party. And you're catching flame as well with whatever that might be happening in the political arena at the time. Who said what, where, and how people are seeing your party, and that also affects you. Do you understand? And then once you've done that, lobby people and asking people to vote for you and all that, khotla voting day, some of you decide, I'm not gonna vote. But you still want Lerato back as a councillor. Lerato ka CP, Lerato is gonna depend on majority votes. It's like going for like a third interview. Look at it.
I am actually.
Look at it. Do you understand?
Yeah.
So you win with your political party, you know, to say, okay, out of looking at your CV and your personal profile, your ward profile and all this, you know, you are a better candidate. You've won your first interview. Now you go and you're on the ground, you're trying to convince people. And then election day, D-Day. If Pasau Ketibale, it doesn't matter what party is a candidate. If you don't get majority votes from your residents, forget about it.
Sure. And then on the day-to-day working?
We do a lot that is not council work. I think I told you, okay, if this person hears this, I'm not saying their name or their address. It's just an example, you know? I got a call a few days ago and someone said, my next door neighbor is using the house as a business, as a consultancy, you know, business. Yes. And the alarm is going off. please help, you know? So, councillor, please help. The alarm next door. My first question was, do you not know who your neighbor is? Are you not able to talk to your neighbor? You know, they can engage with the security company and all that. How is it my problem first and foremost? But anyway, you need to assist. But then in the absence of them being able to be neighborly and talk to each other within, you know, city, we have a department, environmental health. And environmental health, one of the things that they deal with is noise pollution. And that was the one area that I could direct the person to say, contact the head of the department here, let them know what the issues are about noise. They'll be in a better position to be able to advise. If you don't get any joy, obviously you'll come to me and then I can try and assist further. Do you understand? Someone, I once got a call at 2 a.m. Someone saying the dog next door barks every time at 2 a.m.
Then we drank ampia.
Do you know I got a call about pigeons in a complex?
What do you mean? But don't they have like the body?
what do you call this
balcony.
common? No, the common area where you have your pool and
Yeah,
all
yeah.
that. What do you call these common areas again?
I don't know what they call them, but
Clubhouse.
Yeah.
Good clubhouse in Kuala, like around the Brai area and all that.
Yeah.
We've been talking to our management. They're not doing anything about it, and I'm like, but it's a private issue. Another disconnect, people don't know or understand what a role of a ward councillor is. And that's why I started by saying we do a lot. Ne? That is something else that you can actually laugh about if you choose to laugh about it, but we actually do get calls like that, like genuine. I'm being honest with you. I go to a story, go things that I
reality.
personally got. Ne? And then the people saying my traffic light is not working. I don't work for JRA. My water pipe just burst. I don't work for Joburg Water. But I appreciate the fact, no, but also I also put myself in the space. I can be the bridge between government and the residents. I appreciate someone calling me and saying, Councillor, I've never logged a call to Joburg Water before, or a sewer issue. I don't know how to deal with it. I direct them to Joburg Water. Log a call to Joburg Water, get a reference number. This is the turnaround time. If they don't assist you, you can always come back to me with a reference number. I'll escalate. I'm okay with that. Do you understand? Yeah. But being screamed at and shouted at about, I don't have water. Why do I not have water? You know, some of the attitude that we sometimes get. Yeah, but Omang, first and foremost, you did not introduce yourself. Where do you stay? Is it a standalone house? Is it a complex? Is it a non-payment issue? Because sometimes it's a non-payment issue. You're screaming at me, but your complex is in areas they did not pay. Because there are people in the complex who don't pay. So it's a lot. But coming down to what my work really is, now sitting council again. We voted the budget. We deal with your public participation when maybe a bylaw is being introduced and then we need to bring it to your attention. A certain bylaw or these amendments are being made and all that, make your input. Ne? Budget issues happen also talking about IDP.
Being an IDP.
Where, wabona yenu? But every 5 years, we do public participation. That is a public participation. We bring it to you as the residents. Ne? We need to have a 5-year plan. Yeah, CAPEX. Ne? I get more maspaleng operational budget CAPEX as well. Operational budget is your day to day. Hore council I khonale pothole o report go JRA in order pothole you for reference number batla batiba. They use operational budget. Your street light high bereki batla balukisa street light. Traffic light high bereki batla balukisa. Your KPIs, your stormwater drains, cleaniwe, batla baira, all those things. Day-to-day things like maintenance of things. But things they need a bigger budget, like a big project. There's a water tower that's currently being built in my ward.
Okay.
Ne? It's a big thing. I see operational. Part of CAPEX. Tshwantse phasiwe, you understand? So get that 5-year plan ya gago ya gore, you know what, in this ward re na le so many complexes that came up, and then our reservoirs and our water towers can't cater for this many people. We need to have another plan. We need another water tower or reservoir and all that. You understand? And then say maybe there's a new section that just came up, a new street that just came up, and those people don't have street lights at all. It becomes part of CAPEX. Tshwantse re be le di-street lights mo, tshwantse re be le ba re keng, a tar road here. So it's part of my work, sitting in council, but your MMCs, le your mayor, bana le more say on it more than I do at the end of the day. But now my job is to actually let you know, gore na le public participation, what are your wishes? Draw your wish list. You're not gonna have the street lights on a road, it's never had any street lights before, without you making any input, or your councillor also supporting, you know, and just highlighting it and making it known gore ntho ya tlhokagala. But what counts the most ke wena, input ya gago. Wa understand?
Yeah.
Tar road ela, it's not gonna happen without you participating as well and making an input. So re na le 5-year plan, and then every year re na le budget ela ya adjustiwa. Baga goga something e leng gore ba ibele mmola, ba fa something e leng gore ne stem before and all that, based on priorities and the need and all that. Do you understand?
Yeah.
So ke yona IDP ya how participation ya ho, e leng gore you come as residency and you give us your wish list according to the e leng gore e tla kena mo that 5-year budget ya gore now ho na le certain part ya infrastructure e leng gore it needs to come up in a budget, because if it's a passive esmo budgeting, forget about it, girl. Yeah, forget about making noises about it, go counseling ya, it's not gonna happen. It needs to be in the CAPEX. Ra budget aga fela gere.
Yeah.
Lo wena ke show us no kra salary ya gago at the end of the month. You can't just go buy a car ya $1 million o sa ya 40.
Yeah.
Ne?
100%,
Yeah. Or isimo budgeting ya gago.
Yeah.
Or go move into a new place. Are really renting, not even buying.
Yeah.
O sna le deposit.
Yeah.
O sa e budgetela.
Yeah.
Do you understand?
Yeah.
So that's what that is.
Oh,
Yeah.
I just wanted to ask you, Lerato, like the members, the activists. Do you really think that you guys are free?
Free in what way?
Like in speech.
I think it's a personal thing.
You think?
Like individually, people choose.
No, I just think if you are working for a particular party,
Yeah.
it's got its own policies,
Yeah.
and currently you're working in a certain the policies.
And that haven't been mentioned. We know gore na I'm not here, and especially that's why I've been careful not mentioning
To
political
names,
parties,
yeah,
because
so-
I'm not here representing
Yeah.
a political party or
Yeah.
talking on behalf of a political
you came
party.
on your
The political
personal
parties nearly their own spokespersons.
Yeah.
Ra vote for the leaders.
Yeah.
Do you understand?
Yeah.
So now it's just me,
Speaking
you,
your mind,
because we
yeah.
have a lot of these conversations, and then we
100%.
want to just share information to people out
yeah,
there. Do you understand?
100%,
Yeah, in my own
100%.
personal capacity, not talking for any political party. So I guess maybe go na le freedom nyana there. Mare, everything is a limitations.
Yeah,
We don't know who's gonna.
You're not just gonna say.
We don't know who's gonna be watching this, and
Yeah.
someone is gonna be like, "That one must go,"
So you're gonna play it safe. You
or
have to
that
play
one
it
is a threat.
Yeah, you have
Yeah,
to
or
play
ke
it.
pari mutona,
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah, I hear
Or
you.
o buile something se se wrong, and then
Yeah.
people mo wording ya gae ba mo tseba gore ke mang eng e etsang. But you know what? I think it's all been innocent, and I think we need this as people.
Yeah.
People need to be critical thinkers. People need information. Do you understand? To make an informed decision, you need as much information as you can have. And then when you're getting it, learn how we receive, we mamela, with an open heart, with an open heart. With an open mind, with an open heart. You understand?
Yeah.
Without any judgment.
Yeah.
You understand? Because
Yeah.
kaofela re opinionated, re tseba gagolo.
Yeah.
And then when you tell yourself, you know, you're not leaving any room to
grow.
learn anything new and to grow as well. So we need to just get into that space as people.
Yeah.
Here kry information, re assess, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to close it here because I think we are over our time right now. I know we can go on. Like, I mean, we go on for hours.
We go on.
We 2 hours on a daily. Like 2 hours is our minimum.
I will have 5 cups of cheese at home. Other things I'm not gonna mention because yeah, embarrassing. Mara nalo nara shapakatsa na we know I get tea ya guy.
Yeah.
Tea I do the famous system. Yeah. Yeah,
thank you
like
so
there's a lot
much.
to share. There's a lot to give out there.
Yeah.
Somebody will want to hear this.
Yeah.
Somebody might be able to make use of this. And I hope there's going to be more. And then maybe next time,
Definitely.
because this is our first time. I've never had a podcast.
Yeah.
I've never been in cameras and lights for this long. Yeah, check it.
I get
You know?
I get
and
you,
having to
yeah.
ignore all this and just
I still
think of it as
continue in a
yeah.
conversation.
2.5 hours.
Right,
on a phone?
right.
Yeah.
That's us.
So-
I definitely would like you to come back because we both know there's greater conversations to still be had, and I think we're still tiptoeing around these topics, and I think we both need to find our comfort spaces in order for us to start having these conversations. And I think we played it super safe today.
We did.
I think we played
can,
it,
we can
right?
say some. We
Right?
can say some things.
Yeah, we played it. Super
We
safe,
can
would
say some things that when I walk out that door,
You're like, yo.
There's a phone call.
Yeah,
Anne?
100%. 100%.
Yeah,
but
but-
I mean, thank you so much for coming through, man. I really appreciate it. At least people got a sneak preview in
I
our
hope
telephone
so.
conversations.
Yeah.
Because this is literally as a conversation in those 2 hour sessions.
Ki intro, ne?
The intro.
Yeah, because I know you also have potential as well. I see you going far.
Thank you so much.
I just love, like, people just don't understand what goes behind these things. Ane? Yeah, they don't understand that you had to put aside nako. Ne, go na le batho ba e leng hore ba ja a nice lunch ko kae kae ba betha ke moya ba ira eng, and you choose to be here to share information with people. Ne? Hence I was saying, if it's not working for somebody, they must just leave it.
Yeah.
Not everything is for everybody, and we also not going to be everyone's cup of tea all the time. Do you understand? Yeah. So it's a lot, you know, and I think it was a great initiative from your side, and I see you going from strength to strength. I think, you know, this is people need information, bruh.
Yeah.
You know? And then with someone like yourself, you're a critical thinker yourself. You're not gonna serve people
Bullshit.
BS. You know? Yeah, that it jawena pele.
Yeah.
Before you judge someone else,
Yeah.
do you understand? Because you stand for the truth. And then you're doing this because you want to help people out there. You want to plug people. You want to give people information.
Yeah.
And you're not earning anything from actually doing this.
Yeah.
Do you understand?
Yeah.
So whoever that it's reached, remember the lesson that I always go promote.
Yeah.
I spoke to you about the book, Jan Lavanzant.
Yeah.
And then one of the lessons that I don't forget, when the student is ready, the teacher appears. So whoever looks at this and they don't like it, they're not ready
not
for it.
time
It's
yet
got
for
nothing to do
them.
with Nalwen.
100%.
You understand?
I love that,
So
yeah.
big ups to you, girl. It's a good thing that you're doing. Yeah, I wish you growth,
Yes.
strength,
Yes.
and all godly, ne?
Yes.
Into some Modimo, God's strength,
100,
God's wisdom, you know, yeah.
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 Thank you so much, man.
And then I can say when you are back tomorrow, I was there. I think
Not
they need,
once, not
they need
twice,
to cut,
not 3 times, 5 times.
They need to cut this down because now another side. I get it. Politicians so sometimes we are judged harshly.
Yeah.
O ka ra re batho, re
Yeah.
ditshipi. A rena di-feelings a re tshege, a rena family time.
Yeah.
So yeah, anyway.
No, but you've got
Thank you for having me. Thank you for
sense of humor.
inviting
I
me.
love it. No,
Yeah, thank you for
this is
having
not
me.
the first,
Thank you for
not
having
the
me.
Second, I definitely think you should come through again. I think it will happen. Yeah. I enjoyed this. I enjoyed the conversation.
If it's for you, it's for you. If it's not, it's okay.
Yeah. So Loretta definitely has a different way of looking at the world, and it's really authentic. She really loves being an activist, and I'm looking forward to engaging with her further on a myriad of topics. Thank you so much for staying with us till the end. Please subscribe, like, hit the bell, and share our video. I'll catch you next week. Peace be with you.
1, 2,